Dire team ban.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. I'm Blaze, this is Rainmaker. We're bringing you guys a game between Team Dignitas and Team Empire. This is going to be a best-of-3 series here, and we are looking at Game 3, actually. So, we have gone 1-1. The first one was very much in favor of Dignitas. They put out pressure from the very beginning, and then following it up was a quick win by Empire, actually taking it only 11 minutes into the game. Just ridiculous amount of pressure they put out on the Spectre lineup there. So, one way or another worked out in their favor, and now we're going on into Game 3 on USC servers. So, how's it going, Rain?
Oh, it's going pretty great. You know, I'm really excited to cast this game. I'm really excited to see what we're going to see out of these two teams, because I think Empire, they know what they want to do, right? They have like a really good plan. They really enjoy picking up that Lifestealer, picking up these heroes with a lot of early impact and going and dominating the game that way. But we've seen, like, Dignitas last game, that first pick Ancient Apparition, that, you know, that Warlock pick, the Spectre, that kind of, like, you know, mix of global and really strong team fight. There's a lot of elements that are very strong there. And by the way, really interesting kind of a respect ban coming out from Empire, getting rid of that Visage. It helps them out because, you know, now they're able to go and open up the hero pools so they get more of those kind of like S tier first picks. But also, you know, I just think they don't want Aoi to have that. But besides that, Dignitas, they want these really strange lineups, but I think that if you slip behind and you're trying to go for a super late game style team, and is Empire going to pick up, yeah, there's a Keeper of the Light, and if you try to go for that super late game style team, like Dignitas does, or even that global presence team, you can't afford to fall behind, because you need to go and exploit your advantage at pretty much every stage of the game. It's very good at every stage of the game, but once you're on the back foot, you really can't capitalize on it, because it doesn't matter how many heroes you can show up with if they just can kill you.
Yeah, they had, like you said, they had a lot of different elements. They had global presence in some ways, they had range of initiation, they had scalability in their heroes. But the one thing that I feel they kind of lacked, other than the Visage, was lane presence. Warlock couldn't control the mid, the Clockwork, although great at surviving against 3, in a 1v1, he is kind of subpar compared to a lot of different options there. So the Darkseer alternate just kind of wiped the floor with him, but up on the top lane was where most of the action was, and the Ancient Apparition and Spectre really didn't come into play at all. So it was just kind of a rollover and stomp. If the first 10 minutes didn't go that way, if they had been either on even field or maybe even the opposite direction, it would have spelled a completely different game out. But that's just one way where Team Empire was able to work, and now we're moving on into this game. But we have an interesting draft already. You mentioned the Keeper Light, that provides a lot of presence, but Team Dignitas did not want to give away the PL. They pick it up for themselves, make sure that they don't have to worry about the Keeper Light synergy with him, and along with that, they pick up the Darkseer, which is kind of considered a pseudo counter to the Phantom Lancer trying to control the illusion armies themselves. So picking up both those, taking Scandal's Darkseer out of his hands, picking up the Phantom Lancer, it's really just a counter draft, hardcore.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, Darkseer, it's not just the fact that Wall allows the enemy to get a PL illusion. Like, PL illusions are strong, but that's not just it. It's that Darkseer allows you to get all the kind of team fight that PL just doesn't really help you out with, and also the surge on a Phantom Lancer is probably one of the most deadly things to deal with, because suddenly you have this guy zipping around, stabbing you as many times as he likes, and wow, really quick drafts coming out here, and I'm kind of surprised that we didn't see Empire go for that, they've gone for very aggressive supports. Like, is this going to be an aggressive trial lane? Keeper of the Light and Undying with the infinite mana on Undying Decay can be an absolute nightmare to deal with, and that is one of the few things that can go and deal with a Phantom Lancer in lane. Just infinite mana and just infinite harass coming out that way. Meanwhile, we see the Puck against Queen of Pain. We've been seeing this matchup more and more. I feel like Queen of Pain has a little bit of an advantage, but since you can phase shift out a Shadow Strike and push out the lane with Orb, Puck is fine in that lane, and it comes down to how much they can do on the side lanes.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying there. We've seen a lot of different things in Beyond the Summit's Fistful of Tangos. The 1v1 matchup of Puck and Queen of Pain happened over and over and over, and it went different ways between different players. But the one thing to say is they're both very similar in mindset. They're very mobile, they're very active, they have some magical nukes, and they have some utility. But what it comes down to is how aggressive they gank the other lanes, how much pressure they put out in a team fight with either Sonic Wave or Dream Coil waning. Those kind of things really is the big deal. So getting farm up, the Puck would love a Blink Dagger, the Queen of Pain would love a little bit more restoration, whether maybe going for something that has a perseverance in it, or more common, just going for Treads, Magic Wand, Bottle, and then building up towards a bigger item like Ags, BKB, or Scythe. A lot of different options. But the important thing is that when they start ganking, they want to be the initiators, not the initiatees. They want to find their opening and jump on the opponent before they have to worry about the enemy's silences or big nukes. Because Team Empire has some powerful nukes. almost see a Naga Siren working in this lineup. How much setup that if they get the setup, how much
Yeah.
damage can come out. Because Illuminate, the Tombstone accrues, the Sonic Wave Scream. I mean, it's crazy burst if they time it appropriately. And so we see the Darkseer on the board for Dignitas, but the Magnet's still in there. Something that sets them up nicely is all Team Empire needs to make this such a powerful team. And I'm curious to see what they have up their sleeve in this situation as they ban out the Shadow Demon and the Bane.
You know what, actually, you were talking about Naga, and I think that's actually probably one of the best picks they can go for here. Naga's fantastic against Darkseer, the net just completely shuts that down. It's very good in aggressive tri-lane because Riptide just allows you to go and shred the armor of the enemies, which means that Undying with his zombies is even more deadly. And also you can push very, very quickly with those illusions, so that's a very unconventional pick these days, but I think it could have a place here in Team Empire's lineup. Again, I've not seen them go for anything resembling that, but, you know, we could see that. On the other hand, Dignitas, they're looking for two supports here, basically to go and give that Phantom Lancer a presence. I wouldn't be surprised if we just see something like Jakiro and perhaps some other kind of strong defensive support. They can take this into the late game, and Jakiro plus with a Puck and a Darkseer, that's just a ton of AoE damage. Another potential would be something like perhaps a Lina, just more AoE, more... And with Lina, you get access into that burstiness, which helps you take down heroes like that Queen of Pain and Keeper of Light. They could go for... the Clockwork, but I just can't imagine that being terribly effective. And Team Empire picking up the Gyrocopter, similar reasoning, you know, a lot of AoE damage, not as great setup, but you can still push quickly and you can pour out a ton of damage in the early game with that Rocket Barrage.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful hero in every single way. He can lane just in any situation that he wants to. Solo, tri-lane, defensive, aggressive, even support sometimes. He can do whatever he needs to accomplish to stay active and stay relevant. And from there, he's also a great counterpick to the Phantom Lancer. You put a Scream and a Sonic Wave on top of a Flak Can and Call Down, those Phantom Lancer illusions don't stand a chance. Same thing with the Wall of Replica. The big thing here is Team Dignitas has so much damage potential if their illusions stay alive. But even with a pipe and a mech, now that the Gyrocopter's picked up, you add in all these different AoE things together, and all they need is, again, setup, and suddenly they don't have to worry about the illusion damage at all. They can just go full force for hard push and win team fights left and right.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Dignitas is how they're going to try to go and deal with that, because they don't really have the kind of lockdown to go and deal with the Gyrocopter either. If that Gyrocopter, you know, doesn't really need to even pick up BKB, if he just tanks up, gets a Manta, gets some lifesteal, he can just continue to attack. And with that Flat Cannon, if he gets ahead of the Phantom Lancer in item level, you're right, those illusions, they just don't do anything. There's not a ton of damage on Dignitas' lineup. And while Phantom Lancer will get you there eventually, I don't know if it's going to... They need to have their supports to have a bit of presence. Once again, I'm going to say that Jakiro is probably, you know, my go-to here. Just the amount of AoE damage and the fact that... oh, Ancient Apparition. They really like that hero. And Ancient Apparition, with the Phantom Lancer, that could be a guaranteed stun. With Lance Slow plus the Cold Feet, you can stun up there. And Ancient Apparition, I suppose the Chilling Touch is quite good on Phantom Lancer illusions. That's a lot of damage, but... Yeah. It's a little bit unorthodox again. We were talking about range of initiation, and we were talking about AoE. So Darkseer into Puck's ultimate Dream Coil with that Ice Blast on top of it, that can go and take down the Keeper of the Light, Undying, and Queen of Pain. So while this is an unorthodox pick, and I don't think it provides them much in terms of laning presence, it could be enough to go and get them that mid-game punch that they're kind of lacking right now.
Yeah, I mean, the classic combo of Dream Coil plus Ice Blast, it really will set up some beautiful ultimates that'll work out really nicely. Undying won't be able to soul rip people up. The Mechanism Keeper won't be as relevant during those big engages there. And again, it does really, really help out the problem of their team fights getting shredded by that AoE damage of Gyro and Queen of Pain. They needed some extra damage to supplement, and AA's got that in spades. But one issue you mentioned as well is the lack of lane presence. Their lanes, Phantom Lancer AA can get a Cold Feet off. That's about all they've got. They've got Nuke and they've got Cold Feet. But with this Storm Spirit now going to be playing very aggressively, they can do so many different lanes and make it work so very well. I mean, it's ridiculous what they can accomplish in an aggressive mindset with these different heroes here. You can have...
yeah, I think this... excuse me?
Yeah, I was going to think that they could go for an aggressive tri-lane with Keeper Light, Undying, Gyrocopter, have Queen of Pain on the safe lane and the Storm Spirit, and then easily run a Queen of Pain Suicide, and she can blink on out. She'll still get hit by the Lance. It's undestroyable, but you won't have to worry about the Cold Feet. So, whatever way they want to lane it, they're going to win these lanes. The question is how aggressive Team Empire wants to be.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I think that, you know, in this situation, it's going to be a solo safe lane, Queen of Pain, because there's no reason to go and abandon the amount of, like, presence you have with a gyrocopter, Undying, Keeper of the Light, and Chen. Okay, if Team Empire aggressively Trillians, I think Dignitas is just going to lose outright. They just don't have any, unless the Chen's able to, Way Too Sexy is amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, but if his Chen isn't like spot on, if he messes up one time, I think it's going to be kind of a repeat of last game. But you give Team Empire an inch, they will take a mile. And with the kind of, subpar lane, like, unless the Chen is there at all times with the creep helping out Aoi and Tides, they're going to lose bot lane if the Empire chooses to aggressively try lane. And I'll be honest, if they don't aggressively try lane, I'm going to be rather surprised. We're going and seeing Scandal on the gyrocopter as well, so I believe that will, in fact, let's see how he itemizes. Meanwhile, Blow Your Brain is, he's picked up that Storm Spirit, and once again, it's a little bit strange. I think Vigas is going to be going mid, however, but that's a ton of supplies pooled.
Yeah, they did the same for both Fogged and for Vivi. They pretty much set it up so that they each have restoration coming in from their supports. Chan, a great hero to do that since he's so item independent early on, but they're pretty much trying to set them up for success. There's 63 base damage on the puck, 64 on the Queen of Pain, so evenly matched as far as last hits go, and it's going to come down to phase shifts and that kind of interaction there. It's going to be really interesting, though. As we see, Goblak... Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I think Scandal is going to be soloing top, and we see a Trial and Storm Spirit, and I have no idea what's going on. Just to, like, let you know, like, but those items, like, the gyrocopter's picked up his Wraithband, and, like, he's been pulled a lot of regen. That means he's going to be soloing against the Darkseer.
Hardcore push, like, man. That's the only thing I can think of. Using the Illuminate, using the Remnant spam. If they can Chakra Magic Remnants over and over and over, the creep wave is demolished entirely, and they don't really have any counter push. They have the Chen who can push nicely, but throwing his creeps at them really won't change the pace of what's going on. So I think Empire really just wants to knock down towers quickly. They don't have big Wrecking Crew mechanisms knocking down the towers, but what they do have is just dropping down creep waves left and right and putting pressure out that way. So it can be very powerful.
Yeah, and just, they're just walking in. They don't care if they see the ward, and they're going to, just establish dominance right at level 1. Meanwhile, if you see this Tides again, he levels Chilling Touch at level 1, and while I'll admit that's probably the right option in 99% of situations, the fact that he doesn't have access into Gold Feet means that if he stays level 1 for too much longer, he's going to be in a very rough spot. Meanwhile, Aoi's down here, and, we're going to just go and see, what separates a professional carry from someone else, because he has absolutely no room to farm. If he's able to get items here, and he already is sitting at 4 creep kills, which I think is a little bit more than he rightfully should have from Empire, a little bit sloppy from Empire there. But if he's able to get farm in this situation, he can get farm anywhere, because there's no way this should work for him.
So, yeah.
Meanwhile, Gyrocopter going on the Darkseer, nothing much happening, but forcing out a Surge, being a little bit irritating with that homing missile, and then going back to go and farm the wave.
Yeah, so kind of in this situation, I feel that Scandal's gonna have a lot more farm potential than Aoi once this pressure starts kind of coming out, but I don't think they're gonna be able to get too many kills. That being said, they're still probably gonna be one of the earlier kills in the game, but I don't think it's gonna be just outright 100-0. They have big stuns and disables. Until Ball Lightning comes out, the overload won't be that relevant, and so really they have the Electric Vortex, and they have to get maybe half duration Illuminates and a couple of zombies here and there underneath Sentry Wards. It can do a lot, but I don't think it will be easy pickings for them to get some kills on the lower board. Instead, they're just kind of trying to starve them out, showing that Phantom Lancer can be having less farm than Scandal, and from there blocking off the pull, so they don't really have much choice but to sit in this position where Storm Spirit gets, right now, solo experience as they roam in towards the mid.
Yeah, one thing here I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see is that just at once they get level 2 and get that Tombstone up on Goblak, if they just go and try to creep skip, because as you were talking about, they can go and mow down this wave very quickly, but I guess they're not going to do that unless Blow Your Brain hasn't skilled yet. He's picked up stats at level 2, and I don't think I've seen that. I think he's just probably not put a skill point down. He doesn't know if he wants the pull or if he wants the overload proc.
Yeah, so in the meantime, in mid, Fog is taking a lot of damage here. He is actually dropped down to 100 HP, has that last salve to pop off, and Vivi's just controlling this very nicely. We do actually see the Rune spawn up top. DD is available there, and Vigos, if that is him, then he will be able to get his bottle refilled as soon as it comes on out. So he has huge amount of control of this lane, and starting off like this is going to really put him on the right foot to get a level advantage and start ganking more actively. I think he only needs 1 in Shadow Strike, because you said, you said, the phase shift can make him immune to it, he can dodge it out, and also he doesn't need that to win this lane. He's already on top of things, and just going to make sure he can get a couple sips from the bottle before actually picking up that DD, and really just making sure that advantage is 100%, as Fogged is forced to Bottle Crow. So now, Blow Your Brain. Okay, go ahead. I've been talking for it.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Yeah. It's just that one thing that really surprised me is that Aui's farming surprisingly well in this situation. He's sitting at 12 last hits. When you compare that to Jaro, Jaro's only got 13, a few more denies, but it's honestly not that relevant to this situation. I'm not sure how Aui's managing to get away with this. I think that Empire's kind of losing an opportunity to play a little bit more aggressively. They can't let him get away with this. If they go, they're feeding him experience right now. He's basically getting solo experience in the lane. Yes, Tides and the Chen are far behind now, but the Phantom Monster sitting at level 4 is a very scary thing, especially when you have supports like that Undying. If Undying falls behind, if Keeper of the Light falls behind, they're going to be in a really rough time. The Spirit Lance does a ton of damage.
Yeah, so that's real. I mean, one thing to keep in mind is Way Too Sexy is still farming up pretty much constantly. He hasn't really found an opportunity to gank or control runes or anything. Actually, Silent is going to contest this regeneration rune, pick it up for himself. But yeah, like you were saying, Aoi is still coming out in an okay position. He's not thriving. He's not going to go for like the fastest diffusal blade on the planet or even have any chance of going for a Radiance Rush. He's just going to be getting some stable farm and be able to at least get a diffusal up.
Shen gang coming from the back there.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity for the Centaur. Yeah, Blow Your Brain dodges out, going south, but he takes too much damage from the nukes. Just the Test of Faith rolling high, and that's going to be first blood for Way Too Sexy, actually. And just walking away from the Tombstone. They don't need to fight it. They can just walk away from that area denial, and it being only rank 1 because they've been making sure they don't leech too much from the Storm Spirit in the experience department means that he really doesn't have that great of potential to deny an area, and they feel very, very less threatened by this position here. Setting it up, we actually see a GPM of 230 on Aoi with his last hits and that assist, and that's just helping him out so much.
Yeah, I mean, Aui's definitely behind, but he's not as behind as he could be, and I think this just comes down to a pretty decent play from him. And, another thing to note is the Dire Tri Lane, while it's very scary, it doesn't have any sort of lockdown, so he can definitely just walk away. And with those Tranquil Boots up, he has a lot of just passive regen, and when he wants to, that's a free salve on demand. In addition, he's picked up that Magic Stick, so if this Magic Stick ever ticks up to 7 charges, I think that the Dire have just lost this lane, because there's no way they'll be able to go and kill Aoi at that point.
Yeah, that extra little bit of HP boost really, really would help him in that situation. Once he hits level 6, assuming he picks up the Phantom Edge there, that will give him a little bit of magic resistance, which will, again, increase his effective HP. You see some harassment from Silent onto both Way Too Sexy and Tides of Time, but it's just pretty much...
Blow Your Brain in a really bad spot right now. I think he might just die one more time.
Really can't believe that he stayed down there. They saw them coming, but instead he's just going to get dropped real quick. Tides of Time's taking a lot of damage from the zombies. He will fall as well. So it is 1 for 1, but they're dropping down Blow Your Brain. They're dropping down their carry player. They're dropping down their core Storm Spirit. And if a Storm is sitting at level 4, you're not going to be afraid of Ball Lightning ganks anytime soon. He's just really, really behind. And I was just going to take that, get a salve, and Tranquil on through. So he is going to be able to sustain, no problem at all. And every single time, Blow Your Brain just seems to rely on his supports to keep that as an effective situation. But with Illuminate on cooldown, rank 1 Tombstone isn't going to do enough to save him.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way they can stun him out. It's not like you have a Crystal Maid on your team which can effectively disable 2 heroes. They're just going to be able to walk on you and kill you. I don't know what Blow Your Brain's really thinking, and here's this kind of problem. Also, he's gone for Arcane Boots, which if you're in an aggressive tri lane, I realize you want the Arcane Boots, you need the mana, but you have a Keeper of the Light already. You should probably go for something that provides a little bit more survivability like Treads. And I feel that in general, unless you're going for that G build for that really fast Bloodstone, Treads are just a little bit better on Storm Spirit. They provide him with a bit more attack speed, and the damage is really relevant. You get a lot of auto attacks.
We actually do see a lot of damage coming to Silent, but it looks like he's going to be able to get on out of there. The Tombstone does at least allow them to peel them off, but 90 gold goes to Aoi one way or another, and he'll just kind of take that to the bank. So we're seeing more presence from this Ancient Apparition and this Phantom Blaster combo, but we do see Vivi trying to actually get some gank pressure rolling. He seats Tides out in the open, and they just want a little bit of assistance with this Illuminate to make sure that he can be dropped here. And yeah, they're going on in. Scream and Sonic Wave will be enough. Oh, Shadow Strike, right click, easy. I was overestimating Ancient Apparition, honestly. I was thinking, okay, he's got a decent pool of HP, but really we saw how squishy he was last game, and that obviously hasn't changed. So Chen in a bad spot here. Vivi will get another Shadow Strike off if he needs it, but he doesn't. Just Sonic waving on top of him. One more blink will set him up for the last right click, and that's another kill on the board. So 2-0-0 Vivi. He is setting it up where Blow Your Brain is failing. He is coming out on top, and Fog comes in. One person caught into that Dream Coil, so they're going to get a single kill for the Puck himself. They wanted Vigos, but he still had plenty of mana to work with and probably would have gotten out either way.
Yeah, but one good thing for them is that the Phantom Lancer's got experience for all of these kills. He's not fallen too far behind. And then, more than that, once he goes and picks up his next item, I wouldn't be surprised if we just see something like a straight drums. Oh, and Empire's Godlike is fairly dead.
Terrible spot.
Yeah.
And he does get pulled in under the tower, but it's not aggroing just yet. He will be able to surge on out of there despite the Illuminate clearing waves really quickly. And it looks like they're just going to kind of fall back. They take the kill. They're not going to be able to take a tower up against the Keeper Light with a rank 3 Illuminate, but they still can easily get the kills, and the fact that they aren't taking too much damage in the middle of the fray, in the middle of the skirmish there, means that they can walk away with that and really feel like they accomplished something. Making sure that the Undying doesn't get too much experience means that I'll look at the levels of the offensive trialing. They're all sitting at level 5. They're not really finding the kills they were looking for, while PL sits at level 8. Has his magic wand and one of his plays of alacrity. So he's moving in rapidly towards that defusal, and he is going to be able to not only mana burn so much on Storm Spirit, but also if they even go for a Dust gank, he can dispel that off himself. Now going in, Blow Your Brain has Ball Lightning, will use it, breaking off the Cold Snap, or Cold Feet, and from there just walking away. But Aoi is in this point where he can just control the Creequilibrium, and as long as there's no Illuminates to screw it up, he's going to have a free time farming. Going back up, he is only still at 34, but he doesn't have that much to go up against him.
He zipped in though.
He popped off the Doppelwalk, that's pretty much it. They got 150 mana out of it, but he initiated and just wanted to make sure that he could pick him off if he needed to. Now we do see Queen of Pain transitioning down, but Puck is going to cross this path. No, Fogged, heading back towards the mid lane, and I don't think that either one sees one another with the nighttime vision, and they do need a quick pause before they proceed on through.
Yeah, one thing about itemization is I wouldn't be surprised for Aoi to go for that fast Yasha. Black's been doing that recently, and it just goes and accelerates your farm so much. More attack speed means you go and proc more of those illusions, and then on top of that, that allows you to pressure towers basically for free, allows you to farm the jungle. And just being able to move faster in fights is super relevant when you're playing a melee hero like that Phantom Lancer. The Diffusal, yes, it's going to be fantastic against the Storm Spirit, it's going to be great against basically all of their heroes, but if you're just looking to draw out the game, if you're looking to not fight as soon as you get a Diffusal, it might just be better to go for the Yasha. Black's been using it really effectively, and I know that Aoi has been talking about it at least on either his stream or on Mad.
But either way, yeah, that would give him a lot of mobility to be aggressive. One thing Phantom Lancer relies on so much is making sure his movement speed is on point, because if he can't close the distance to get more right clicks off, proc off more doppels and more phantom edges, then he is just going to be not really committing to as much to the team fight as any other carry would. I mean, the whole point of Phantom Lancer is to keep those auto attacks rolling. Even if they don't deal as much damage, even if they don't mana burn, they're still going to keep those illusions flowing, and that's going to help them out very effectively. But we do see Blow Your Brain in a little bit better position. It seems to be moving in towards, I guess that would be long-term an Orchid, because he already has his Arcane Boots. There's really nothing else to be going with that Robe of the Magi. So that is pretty much just him. Going to be starting to farm away now. He feels much safer with that Ball Lightning, but they're playing Blow Your Brain on a Storm Spirit without actually playing him like a Storm Spirit. He has huge range of initiation, but we haven't seen it come into play yet. And so now there's Aoi can walk around in circles, not have too many issues. We do see initiation up on top, and Scandal will drop, just completely picked off here. He wants to bring down Universe with him, and he manages it. Nice damage from the Rocket Pros that is maxed out to rank 4, so he does get the kill. Now VV coming on in, but just going to have to walk away after that damage hits them pretty hard, and he doesn't want to really overcommit in a 1v2. But yeah, it's just good transition from Vogged, and from there, the Gyrocopter wasn't really prepared for it. They did get the kill on the Darkseer, however. As far as experience goes, that would be Gyrocopter getting the kill first, so that means that he actually got a solo kill, essentially.
Bot lane? Yeah, bot lane now he's just running away.
He is going for that Yasha, though. That's to keep in mind. Nice attempt for the clear vision of the Static Remnant, but Aoi's going to be able to TP out before the Electric Vortex, and that's really not too much more. The Ice Blast is on its way and will not hit on anything, unfortunately, so they can keep this push rolling. And two low-level supports, Chen really can't commit too much without his neutral creeps at his side. And do you see any neutrals at all? Oh, there's a Satyr roaming around, but that's about it. Oh, there's Ursa in the front, too. Hellbear setting up some damage onto Blow Your Brain. So that's a little bit of harassment back and forth. He doesn't have any way to really sustain his health pool, and from there he has to be a lot more cautious than he'd like to be.
Yeah, I mean, one great thing about Chen is, like, even though he's not being able to accomplish a lot, he still has access to level 6, and that's going to be really... It's going to make these kind of global presence pickoffs that we've been talking about from that Storm Spirit even harder to deal with, because it's just like an extra buffer of HP. And, I don't know if they're actually going to be able to kill anybody anytime soon. The fact is, Dignitas has managed to keep up levels on their supports pretty damn well. If you look at it, the Undying's level 7, but both of the supports on Dignitas are level 6, and you compare that to Keeper Light, he's only sitting at 5. Like, I don't know quite how they were able to do this. They just counter-warded well, and they just weren't able to be pressured. And it looks like Storm Spirit is just about able to ball away. Yep. One thing to note is Storm Spirit's build here, it's working out for him. I don't deny that, but it's a little bit inefficient. If you're looking for an Orchid, you'd rather have the additional attack speed from treads to give you more damage in, and just the additional, int to go and make your auto attacks hurt a little bit more. It works out a bit better that way, which the Arcane Boots just don't give you. I don't understand. I feel like, Undying, yes, he needs a lot of mana, but you have a Keeper of the Light to go and kind of tide him over that way, so this is a strange build coming out from Storm Spirit. But you don't see a lot of trialing Storm Spirit, so perhaps this is just something that I'm not accustomed to.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to be that effective in a lot of different ways, but I think they're mostly focused on the team fight. They're wanting to make it happen, and if they can do something like pulling in Owie into an Illuminate, they can actually dish out a ton of damage, but it's just not panned out for them thus far. They need to figure out some long-term detection, or just get that Orchid up that much faster, because if they can silence out Owie's Doppel, then they can easily lock him down, and that's what they intend to do, is just kind of get as many kills on him as possible, but it's kind of gone the other way. They're looking at 1, 0, and 3, and although Owie hasn't been picking up all these kills, he's been there and relevant in every single one of them, and that's gotten him to as high of a level as he is. Sitting at level 9, he's in an okay position. There is a nice blast going all the way down, but not going to hit on anything. And again, Fogged has some presumably frame rate issues that needs to be dealt with before they proceed on through. Now, Gyrocopter is moving in towards a BKB very, very rapidly, but how do you think that'll play out long term? He can avoid the Dream Coil, of course. The Ice Blast won't be that big of a deal. Is it just pretty much he wants to stay alive? The one thing that Owie keeps on saying is that BKB as a first item is less relevant because it's one of the few carry items that gets worse as the game goes along rather than scaling in the other direction. So, how do you feel about this early BKB rush?
I mean, but Owie's right. I'm not going to deny that. It does get worse as the game goes on, but at this point, if he doesn't get it, he needs to go and win the game at like 25 minutes. He needs to have like the BKB and maybe one other item, and he needs the BKB first, because once this puck gets a Blink Tiger, he can't afford to get picked off. If they fall any further behind than they are right now, and I'll say that even though the score looks even the gold isn't, it's in their favor even, I believe the experience is, just only 2k gold in Dignitas' favor. They are losing, like, really badly right now. They allowed the Phantom Lancer to get a ton of farm. He's, comparable with the... He's, like, 20 creeps behind, but he's been involved in more kills than Scandal has. So he's got comparable gold to the solo safe lane Gyrocopter. So once he gets that Yasha, he's going to be able to farm the jungle. He's going to be able to farm the... just push out the lane constantly, forcing a couple heroes to deal with him, and even right now he is. So... if they don't make something happen within the next 10 minutes, I don't know what they're going to be able to do, because this Storm Spirit pick is just not working out for them, and, Vigas and he's not quite been able to go and have the impact he needs to this game.
Yeah.
He's done very well, but it's just not enough, is what I'm trying to say. Like, they're not far enough ahead to go and allow the Gyrocopter to just keep farming.
Yeah, so it seems like they really want to break out in team fights, with Queen of Pain moving in towards a BKB of her own. It's just setting up that they really, really want to start making big fights and be able to not get disabled, not have to worry about Dream Coil or the silences, and just actually dish out the hard gank damage. So they want to make it so that at about 18 minutes in, the team fights will start. But Dignitas is raring to go right before that, popping off a double smoke. They do have Fogged with that Dream Coil, and they start off Frozen Ammunition from the Ancient Apparition, going to hit on Blow Your Brain to finish him off, and get the debuff on Undying to drop him down as well. So that is just really, really good. Smooth gank. Picking off two heroes that Undying wasn't very high level, but actually they were both level 7. Excuse me on that. So now they can turn it into a tier 1 push and just really, really start accruing all that gold.
Excuse me, I don't know if they'll actually be able to get the tower at the end, because there's a Keeper of Light that's a level 3 Illuminate, and there go all of your creeps, but they're using a Hand of God on it, and I suppose if Owie's able to get a little bit lucky with his Illuminate procs here, he can go and be at the very least very irritating. They're forcing the Gyrocopter to come as well, and yeah, that's a call down use, so I think they'll take it. As long as none of them get caught here, they're in a pretty good situation.
Now they do see Storm Spirit jumping on in, but can't find out anybody just yet. Waiting and nuked on down by the Spirit Lands. Now they go for another Ice Blast. Can they hit it on Blow Your Brain? He's going to dodge it out just barely. It doesn't get hit by the damage, but again, the debuff does fly. Vacuum into Wall Replica. Big damage coming out from Universe. Big initiation. Here comes the puck to follow through with that orb, but that's one dead Undying, and trying to do even more beyond that. Oh, Fog taking a lot of damage. Does get hit on the back end by Queen of Pain's double damage. Sonic Wave going down onto Tides of Time. 4 HP. Surged on out of there, running for his life and getting Test-to-Face back, but still, that was a lot of initiation coming out on both sides. I thought that Darkseer wall was perfect to set them up, but Vigas just going on the back end and catching a little bit of a surprise, finishing off the puck and almost the Ancient Apparition. If they had just gotten that one right click on the AA, I would think that actually that Empire came out on top, but now it's kind of harder to say.
Yeah, I think it's definitely comes down to the fact that Aui's alive. He's still going to be able to farm, and even if they lose this tower, it's not he's not in a crippling position. While in the meantime, the Storm Spirit is just almost out of the game in terms of you need to be ahead on levels. You need to be able to go and use that. And at this point, Storm Spirit is just a long range pull. He's not going to be able to do too much more than that. I would be excited to see Blow Your Brain prove me wrong. Storm Spirit's probably one of my favorite heroes, and I love casting games where Storm Spirit's able to have a huge impact. But I just don't think it's going to be this game.
Yeah, it's just not really what they've been looking for this entire time period. A lot of really good #1 carries banned out in the drafting phase kind of forces them into this position, but what they were looking for, as we've said multiple times over, is they just wanted pickoffs, and they haven't found them. Storm Spirit is actually sitting 1, 3, and 0, so it's pretty much the opposite thing happening, and the limitation, the very, very lack of mobility with the Storm Spirit Part
Goblack?
6.
Oh, he just sniffed some danger. He was actually going to die if he stayed in range for that Fierce Spirit Lance and the Ice Blast. And I think this is a proper way to use that Ice Blast. It's basically a free roll. It's a 1-minute cooldown. You can spam it out as much as you need to. And once you have it, like if you can get a free kill on a support, 2 Lances and an Ice Blast, and I think that is actually a dead undying. Just using it like that, using it kind of casually, is it's pretty useful. Yes, you might not have it up at the team fight, but honestly, if the team fight goes 20 seconds, you'll probably have it up.
Absolutely. Now, I do see Aoi farming on the Ancients here, bring him down pretty quickly. I'm going to move in towards that Diffusal Blade. Not too much strength under his belt there, so he's going to be sitting at 900 HP for quite some time, but he does have a lot of mobility, the Yasha and the Blade of Alacrity, but he's kind of assuming that the enemy doesn't have wards. If they were warding the high ground, initiating with a Storm Spirit at long range, that 900 HP would drop very, very quickly with the help of a Queen of Pain. So he is, playing a little bit close to the edge with that kind of item buildup, but it'll definitely work for him up against all these intellect heroes if he can just finish out that Diffusal and then go for something high HP like a Vitality Booster.
Yeah, one thing to note is that Phantom Edge does give him a lot of magic resist, and that's the majority of the damage on the Dire team is coming from that magic. The Gyrocopter not quite hit the kind of items he needs to be a huge physical damage threat. It seems like there was a little puck blink there, but nothing really coming of it.
Oh, so yeah, Puck does have Blink Dagger then. Yeah, I didn't actually catch that, but Fogged is raring to go with that kind of initiation. That's about the timing of it, and now if he can jump in, pretty much what he can do is just blink, throw out an orb and a Waning Rift to get his Dream Coil up, and then phase away and jaunt out. So it's pretty much every single time he initiates with that Blink Dagger, he's one of the few initiators that can make sure that he is in 0 relative danger and still have a huge amount of an impact on a fight. So that's just really, it's high presence, and it's going to be something that Empire has to deal with hardcore. I think they were prepared for it by picking up this BKB on Scandal, but now he actually picks up Tangos. I guess just to make sure that he's available for the next fight at full HP. But the Ice Blast coming out, trying to put some pressure, and they get the deny instead. So that is mostly focusing on just trying to put the pressure out on the tower, and actually on mid lane, now Vivi's just taking some hits left and right. So really, both of them are just squaring off, trying to push in towards their time. Team Empire really wants to look at multi BKBs, just putting out pressure that way when the mechanism comes on through, and avoiding Ice Blast as much as possible. But the Team Dignitas is looking for rank 2 Wall of Replica with max out Vacuum, getting that Hood and Pipe up, and just having enough survivability and that Diffusal Blade up on Aoi so they can just push and play very aggressively. So I don't think either one wants to take it to late game because Empire's AoE is so very, very substantial against Illusions, and of course a PL 4.2 Agi is substantial. We do see engagement here, but it's really the only one out of position really is Goblack. Jumping on in. V though, taking big Ice Blast to the face, though Tides of Time getting hit. The Hand of God does help him out a little bit, but still taking a ton of damage. It looks like the action of Blow Your Brain though will clean up nicely, and there is actually going to be a very, very effective ball lightning out. However, Darkseer in pursuit. Universe really wants to get that kill. There is going to be a call down to counter initiate. However, Goblack is pulled back into a lance. Really, really low HP, but he will survive, as they do not want to push out that much further. So really, really interesting action there. Puck and Ancient Apparition really getting locked down by Blow Your Brain. The Illuminate did strike true, and that was very effective. And from there, I guess it does really go in favor of Empire, taking down 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely something Empire needed. They got the pickoffs, and I think, the Blow Your Brain, as soon as you got that work kit, you put it to use. That is what they need to do in the future. But, I'd just like to point out, like, Aoi has been basically farming as efficiently as he can in this position ever since that bottom tower went down. He's been going, pushing out the mid lane, forcing people to go there, finishing up the Ancients, and clearing out 2 camps on the Radiant side. So this basically means that his GPM, like, while it's a very small area of the map, right? Just like surface area wise, he's not being farmed very much. This isn't like an anti-mage that pushes to the tier 2 and then clears the entire jungle. But he's going to manage a very reasonable amount of gold and still get a tower kill there.
On mid, Aoi does pop off
not
that
able to get
double. So as far as detection goes, this is one thing that I feel Empire has a little bit of a weakness in, and we kind of showed that in the Weaver game at game 1, is they really don't want to commit that much gold to detection. The sentries, the dust, it hasn't been coming, and as such, it's pretty much that Doppelwalk is a free get out of jail free card. You just completely, not just turn invisible, but invulnerable to anything but AoE damage. And that's not enough to bring down PL in his current state, so he just keeps on popping off that Doppel, and they don't really have any lockdown. From there, trying to compete Aoi versus the Gyrocopter Scandal, we do see that they actually block off the ancient stacks that they were pursuing on through, and also keep on checking it with Ice Blast. Did force out BKB number 1 from Scandal to make sure he survived from the Ice Blast, and that's of course the most relevant one, now down to 9 seconds, as every single time he uses it, it gets less and less effective until the 5-second duration. So that's very relevant, proceeding on through, and if Scandal can't really pick up his farm because he can't farm Ancients, then this Phantom Lancer is going to outclass him really, really substantially. Already finishing up his Diffusal, now probably going for that Vitality Booster, and he's good to go from there for pretty much whatever his heart's desire.
Yep, in the meantime, Universe just calmly TPs away from that Queen of Pain. Nothing the Queen of Pain can do to really deal with that. No Hex, no nothing really. And with that BKB, it's a great item. When it comes to team fights, you can use it really aggressively there, but it's not going to be that effective when you're just going for these solo pickoffs. It's nothing compared to an Orchid in that situation. Looks like Empire is going to be able to get that deny on that top tower. It doesn't seem like Dignitas wants to contest it. You are right, there is a lot of AoE clearing abilities in the late game coming. 140 HP, that's kind of unfortunate there. But you're right, there are a bunch of AoE illusion clearing abilities coming out from Empire. But I think that Dignitas isn't worried about taking it to the late game. They have this Phantom Lancer is going to be able to outclass this Gyrocopter, who's had to go for these really kind of early game oriented items. This isn't like the TL versus Mouse game where we saw, I believe it was TC? TC go for that super fast Helm of the Dominator, stack 1,000,000 cams, go and farm up, for a tremendous amount of items and completely outclass the Phantom Lancer. This is a Gyrocopter that wants to get something to happen. He's dedicated slots and items to get something to happen, and if nothing happens, he's going to be really far behind. Let's see if the Puck's going to make any kind of initiation. Nope, doesn't want to chance it. Just going to go and let Aoi farm even more. I wouldn't be surprised if we just see a Manta style from Aoi and just make him even more irritating. He's just going to go to a lane, push it out, pop Manta illusions, pressure the tower, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Don't allow the Gyrocopter to get any farm. Go keep the Ancient Camp blocked. It's an irritating thing to play against. You just kind of starve out the enemy, and I think it's going to be fairly effective this game.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what he wants to look at there. The Vitality is strong, but getting that plus 10 strength almost gives you as much, and from there you can, of course, benefit a ton from that Manta and the stability it provides with the active illusions you can spam on out. And yeah, Godbuck's going to take a few hits there, lose a good third chunk of his mana. Now Scandal doing the same, but with that Flat Cannon and Barrage, she just clears him out nicely and kind of just takes care of that menace, making sure that he's not farming in the jungle. But we actually did miss a pickoff. Ancient Apparition down 1 versus 1 up against Blow Your Brain, but with that Orchid up, with the Ball Lightning all over the place, he can pretty much just manage his mana so that he can just pretty much control the opposition and hold on to Electric Vortex until the TP scroll comes out. And stun that out, and there's really no hope for the AA without any kind of assistance from allies. We do see engagement on mid. Big vacuum. Into the wall, Replica Scandal trying to hold the line, but he's BKB'd up. Just a couple more right clicks should finish the job, and it's everybody's just falling by the wayside. The last right click will do it. Puck bringing down Scandal. Oh my gosh, that initiation from Universe. That was ridiculous. Yeah. The perfect vacuum. Rank 4, putting them in a choke point, and actually playing nicely with the Test of Faith and the Ethereal Jaunt Orb combo between Fog and Way Too Sexy. That was just cute. Setting up Fog for a lot of HP and mana to bring down this tower very nicely with the double damage rune. So really cute play there, but I gotta say that teamfight went 100% because of Universe. The rank 2 wall initiation now has enough gold for the pipe, actually has it on him, and that is just immense. That's what they've been looking for, and even though they did miss out on the Ancient Apparition action because of the solo pickoff from the Storm Spirit, we're seeing that it doesn't really matter to them, that they can lose one hero in their team fight, and as long as they still have that Darkseer up, as long as they still have the initiation across the board in general, they're raring to go with at least, yeah, it's just they can get picked off, and they still have 3 kind of team fight oriented heroes. The Ice Blast, the Dream Coil, the Vacuum. They just need either Puck or Darkseer there, and they're all set. So it works out really nicely.
Yeah, one thing I like from Dignitas though is the fact they were allowing Tides to just kind of solo there. It wasn't the most important position. They knew that if he got picked, they wouldn't lose a tower immediately or anything like that, and it gave him room to kind of pick up at level 11. Once you start every ultimate level on Ancient Apparition turns into basically a different hero because at level 1 it's basically the minus the healing aura that you're kind of negating, and it looks like there's going to be Vikas going very deep in here.
Yeah.
He's going and popping the BKB and he's going to take out Tides, but
big
wow.
damage.
Hand of God mechanism. It's
nice Test of Faith, pulling him back in. Now another vacuum, another wall. Pipe is up, and they just completely slaughter them. Queen of Pain blinking away. Might just get out of here, but it's just too late of everything that's been going on. Actually, hastering up on the Darkseer means that he can pursue inevitably, but it looks like the rocket will connect in the end, because it does keep on ramping up until it does lock him down. But yeah, Vikas going so aggressively with that BKB. It was his 10-second. He was able to dish out a lot of damage, but on the back end of things, they had to cluster up. When you have one person initiating in front of the rest of your team, the other 3 or 4 people have only one option. Just make a beeline straight for what's going on. They clump up in a tiny circle, and Universe makes them pay for it.
On top lane, he might get solo killed by Aoi here.
Yeah, so much slow, has some BKB TP on out, and he will survive, but it's forcing out yet another BKB. So that is 2 BKB charges purely defensively, and now he's down to 7 seconds, and rapidly approaching that 5-second, which just isn't substantial enough for these team engagements. So it seems like Empire is trying to play this pick-off style, and it's being thrown back in their face. Every single team fight goes the way of Dignitas, and we see kills racking up for Fog and for Universe as well. So it's pretty ridiculous what they've been able to accomplish, as they can now push him for the tier 2, and their ulti cooldowns are short enough. Darkseer with that wall in 25 seconds, the pipe back up as well. They are raring to go for this next engagement, and so many illusions to work with means this tower will drop quickly, and all they have to answer back with is a Roshan, which will help a lot, but a second life on Gyrocopter isn't going to be make or break in this situation.
Yeah, and let's see if they're even going to fall back here. They have, access into that Hand of God. They have that Hand of God's up in 30 seconds rather. They have that mechanism though, and nope, they decide not to pressure that top tower. They're going and running to the Roshan, but I don't think they're going to be able to go and get there in time. They don't have any sort of Django or anything to really speed them up. Oh wow, one really interesting item is that there's a Yule's on Puck. This Puck is actually unkillable at this point. Between Yulesing, Phase Shift, and Jaunt Blink Dagger, I don't know if they have any sort of lockdown that's going to be sufficient enough, and really their only 2 solid stuns here are that pull from the Storm Spirit and the homing missile coming out from the Gyrocopter. Yeah. This is really suiting Fog's play. He likes to get himself in really dangerous positions to make big plays, and just increasing his survivability. It's going to be very useful. It's also, he serves to as a secondary disable. If you're able to go and pull out the Gyrocopter in the middle of the fight before he gets his BKB off, it's going to be enough time that you're able to kill off everyone else and deal with him when he comes back down.
And now he has his Shivas up. He's just been farming so very aggressively, getting 6 kills, 5 assists throughout those team fight exchanges, and he's stayed on top of last hits actually, staying mobile, using his AoE, and now he's cleared up to 180 last hits. He's just so active, has so much durability now, and of course a lot of presence as well. Shiva's on Dream Coil. They're pretty much the only BKB heroes will be able to escape from his wrath, and I'm sure a Scythe will be the next on his shopping list. But like you said, Blink Dagger plus Yules, he's unkillable. He got the Yules presumably in response to the Orchid Malevolence that was up on a Storm Spirit, but just popping the Yules to dispel that debuff off means he literally can't be locked down.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... The Empire is really far behind now. I'm not sure what their plan is here. They do have a very good team defensively. They can drop Tombstones, they can drop Queen of Pain Ultimates, and those Illuminates to kind of prevent them from going high ground. But as soon as that heart is finished on Aoi, he's already got the Reaver up. I don't know if they're going to be able to do enough. And, they've played a very good game, Empire, this match, but I feel like...
Yules to initiate, following up with the Shivas, big damage coming on through, and the Ice Blast is enough. That is going to be pulling... Oh, he gets debuffed, whatever. Doesn't make a difference. They're going to be able to pick him off and only commit that 145-second cooldown to take this tier 2. And this is the funny thing about Team Dignitas right now is they are up against an Aegis Gyrocopter. They're going in 5 versus 6 effectively, and they could care less. They feel fully comfortable with going up against the second Gyro. They're going to let him split push up top, but when you pick up an Aegis, you don't want to split push. You want to actually be able to team fight with that advantage, but that advantage is rapidly declining. A Yule's on a Tornado, just aerial effects everywhere, but it looks like they're not really fully committing to it until this creep wave has finally arrived. Now going on through, we do see Queen of Pain blinking away and trying to just stay out of the picture, but Geometry Sight is up on Undying. Finally they get some detection, but the question is whether it'll be enough. Tier 3 already dropping so very low, and Gyrocopter has had to TP back. Now Fog jumping in. He knows that Illuminate is stationary and is taking advantage of that, forcing back Silent. Now the team fight breaks on through with BKB up. on Vigos, but now we see, oh, big damage across the board. Scandal wreaking havoc with a big ultimate. Oh my gosh, he has a Divine Rapier, flat cannon everywhere. They're falling by the wayside. Triple kill for Scandal. They're going to clean up Aoi as well. They have the gem. They went all in on this one with a Divine Rapier, perfect ultimate from the Sonic Wave, and they're just cleaning it up outright. This was something Dignitas couldn't even imagine to expect. Couldn't even comprehend that was coming. But Demon Edge, I'm like, okay, it's a Day Dallas, that's an MKB. No, goes for the full Rapier, has an Aegis to back it up, at least for a couple more minutes. Yeah, he has 3 minutes left on that Aegis the Immortal, and Scandal cleans it up. Does what he knew that they were so far behind. We were kind of talking a little bit like, oh, here and there. It's kind of moving that direction. The game is concluding where Empire just doesn't really have too much chance. But with a Divine Rapier Gyrocopter, there's always a chance. There's always that if you are willing to make that risky play, you can make this happen. And they have a Geometry Sight, they have the Divine. All they have to do is just win every single team fight for the next 10 minutes until they finish the game. But no, all jokes aside, as long as they hang on to that Rapier, they're in a good spot to still take control of this game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and this is a kind of risk that you have to play, and this is the kind of risk you can make when you pick a Gyrocopter. And with that BKB, if he just picks up some lifesteal now, he has the money for it. It's going to be fairly difficult to kill him. You know, they have the mech, they have the blinding light to completely mess up those PL illusions. But one thing to note is that if 2 heroes get picked off on Empire's side, even if it's just like, you know, seemingly inconsequential heroes like the Keeper of Light and Undying, it's going to be too difficult because even the Gyrocopter, he can only dish out his damage while flat cannon's up, and as long as the enemies are able to go and deal with that, just the amount of like casual pushing pressure from Phantom Lancer, eventually it's going to overburden, I believe, even Scandal.
Yeah, so just going for Scandal, pretty much most of the walls, they're going for Scandal to play the hardest carrier role. It's kind of been what we've been looking at here. And I can understand the BKB rush if you want to play something that aggressive, because the Ice Blast will nullify any lifesteal. It's not going to allow you to Helmet Dominator unless you have the BKB up. So he's going to try to make sure that he can keep his HP alive, and the Helmet Dominator, or moving on later on into Satanic, is really what you're going to need accompanied with the BKB to be able to sustain there. So it is still very risky. It is still very dangerous that a single pickoff could cost you the game. But at this stage, I understand completely why they're willing to commit that. Sentry War comes down on Vigos. Oh, he BKB'd though. He will be able to BKB out, and now they go in for the initiation. Everybody has to disengage here, or they're going to be complete opposition. Scythe on Fog, now jumping in, Overload, and Electric Vortex down on the Chen. Phase Shift on Puck. He will be able to survive with this Blink, I presume, but it's not going to be the same for Way Too Sexy. Getting on out. Yule's on Puck. He does, or jaunt out, but still in pursuit. Vigos sees him. The Blink comes through. They cannot follow up. So Blow Your Brain out of mana. The Puck just plays so cheekily to survive, but he has to fall back and regen, while Scandal just puts huge damage into the tower. Ice Blast not going to hit, well, it hits on a bunch of people, but doesn't hit fully on Scandal. Now, the beautiful Vacuum Wall of Replica does bring them very low, but they can fall back from here, pop off a mech after the Ice Blast, and try to keep this pressure rolling. The one thing, though, is that picking off a Chen at 35 minutes in, it just takes off the Hand of God. It doesn't really change it. I mean, the aura of Vladimir's is very nice, but he's not the most consequential compared to the rest of the team fight that I mentioned before between Puck, the Ancient Apparition, and the Darkseer. So it was a good Ice Blast. I just was focused on Scandal because he is really their prime player. He is the spotlight hero, because anything that happens to him is really going to change the face of this game now that the Aegis of the Immortal has expired.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically the linchpin of Empire's entire strategy right now. And I think, though, you know, he's in a pretty good spot. He's got the lifesteal now, and well, we were talking about the fact that, you know, if he's not under BKB, he can go get hexed up and etc. And just kind of, that can be mitigated. The AA Blast can mitigate that. But I don't think he's particularly worried about that. One thing to note, though, is that his BKB is on very low cooldown right now. He's at 6 seconds, and if they're able to go and draw the game any longer, there is enough kind of lockdown coming out from Dignitas. Not anything like super hard, right? But between just if he gets Cyclone, for example, if he goes and gets the Darkseer walled or something, he can take a little bit too much damage. And until he finishes the Satanic, I think that Empire should play a little bit more defensively.
Now, one thing to note about the interactions here for Empire is that, generally speaking, a carry that gets a lot of late game potential for Empire would be in a great situation because of the recall of the Keeper Light. Essentially, what it would mean is that if he had buyback money, he could always have effectively an Aegis, just gets recalled in 3 seconds later after he buys back, and that could just make it so that he can always be where he needs to be in the fight multiple times over. But the Divine Rapier doesn't allow that. You die, you lose the Rapier, and unless an ally picks it up and hands it right back to you, the second you die, you lose huge amounts of potential. So you look at the damage on the gyrocopter, and he's actually jumping up now towards 500. 500 damage, and that's of course amazing to have in a flat cannon AoE, but 300 of it is from the Divine Rapier straight up, so losing like what 60% of your damage output just by dying once, it means that yeah, you can still buy back recall, but it's not going to be nearly as effective.
Yeah, another thing to note is it looks like he's going straight for that butterfly instead, just like, you know, sitting on the helm of the Dominator. Feels like just the additional mischance coming from the Eagle Song is going to be more, rather, from the full Butterfly is going to be more useful against the Phantom Lancer. There's a lot of merit to that. Meanwhile, Aoi, he's gone and used up a bunch of charges on his Diffusal Blade. He upgrades it, and I think they want to go and press the issue right here. And again, you know, they're basically playing against the Gyrocopter. The Queen of Pain, the ultimate's definitely relevant. You know, actually, the Queen of Pain now with the Hex is actually probably their secondary target. They want to go and get rid of that Hex almost immediately. And are they okay? No, Storm Spirit just to casuals it. Man, that sound, it just scares me now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really on the edge of a knife right now.
Yeah.
Even though it's only been 16 to 15 throughout this 37-minute game, really, the next kill could easily decide what's going on here. We do see an Aghanims up in the Dark Seer. It will not propagate the damage from the Divine Rapier, even if he gets the Gyrocopter in, so we're looking at 140% of base damage, which is still substantial, but it doesn't compare to if they immediately get Flat Cannon down. It's just it won't have the impact that they're looking for it to have. However, it's still a great item for him, and he's going to be able to use it to great effect, but until Scandal gets focused down, it's not going to work. And I'm curious to see if Fog wants to go for a full Ethereal. He has the Ghost Scepter, just adding on to his huge kit of massive survivability, but if he Ethereal Blades outside of a BKB environment, that is a disarm. That is making sure the Gyro can't right-click, and from there they can still burst him down through a lot of great magic nukes.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, you know, and it also seems like the Ancient Apparition is going for that as well, going for the Halberd, I'd assume, with that Ogre Club being picked up. And if they're able to get 2 disarms, it's going to be, you know, that's a lot of lockdown for that Gyrocopter, and he's not in a position where you can be looking to rebuy his BKB. You can't sell that item anymore, so you actually have to go into that full investment. It's just a ton of money. And
oh, Vigal's up the hill. Has to pop his BKB immediately. That is down to 6 seconds now, and are they going to initiate? They go for the sheep onto Chen to try to bring him down before the Hand of God mech can come out, and I think they can manage it. Yeah, they pop off the ultimate, but they accomplish it. Now, big wall of replica going across, but Bloody Brain finishes off the Chen. Now, going across, there is a blinding light on the Phantom Lancer. Chen has been the only one to drop. There is a really, really nice Dream Coil, but it's not taking the effect they need it to. Now, just what's going on with Fog? Using up, he is going to phase and try to jaunt away. Followed it up with a blink, but nice scream. Auto attack. He ghosts it. He ghosts after the blink. Fog is still alive, and now we see Tides of Time being the sacrificial lamb here. Aoi, out of mana. Is he going to be out of life in a moment? Has a TP scroll, but again, no mana to use it. Has to find his opportunity quickly, but the homing missile closing in. He might have to just try to doppel and run, and he is in a very, very bad spot right now. So yeah, that homing missile closing, and the sheep stick. Oh, big blink sheep. Making sure he can't doppel out of that, and he is toast. That is the death of Aoi 2000. And from there, he does have buyback, but of course he does not want to commit it. No, he does, but he realizes he has to. I mean, this is a Divine Rapier Gyrocopter. He will push you down in a moment's time, and we do see that Butterfly finishing up for Scandal.
Yeah, I actually don't know if they can kill Scandal anymore. Like, just frankly, they just don't have enough stuff. He can basically, you know, pop his BKB to just survive for a little bit, but then beyond that, they need to use Aoi's right clicks to go and get through that Butterfly. And with Aoi, he's getting blinding lighted, and now with that even more evasion, that's been his big problem right now. And there's nobody else to provide kind of additional damage. If they give
big initiation, they need to make something happen here. The BKB are up from Vigos already. They go in with Blow Your Brain onto Fog. If they can bring him down, this is huge, and they manage it. Now, there is no buyback on the puck. This is their one guy that they relied on to survive constantly, and he is down for the count. Chen down as well, and if they take this Roshan, get this Aegis onto the Gyrocopter, this might just be the nail in the coffin, because you cannot bring this guy down twice. We've talked about all these disables to rotate on through, despite the 5-second immunity, but if you have 5-second immunity and then you come back up and dish out that damage, as insane as it can be, they have to do this. They have to go now. The wall replica of the vacuum, they bring down one, but they're looking for a lot more than that. The Aegis already up onto the Gyrocopter, turning things around. U-Bomb taking tons of damage. Universe not really going to get on out of this. He's going to be able to, but they're focused on Aoi. He does actually avoid the slow through its self-defusal, and they will be able to disengage at only the cost of the life of the Chen and the Undying in turn. However, the big thing there, the Aegis is up on Gyro. He will still have that massive amount of damage output. Looking now at 550, and he's going to keep that rolling for as long as he needs it to. So that was really effective for them. They needed to control that, and unfortunately Puck just got the one guy we've talked about all game long. He cannot die, but there are still so many different cooldowns for them to use, especially that instantaneous sheep, that if they can do sheep into Orchid immediately, they can completely screw him over, and Fog dropping down made sure that they could not initiate on that Roche.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Empire kind of identified the big problem with Dignitas' lineup is that besides the Phantom Lancer, all of them require... Ooh, he's got to blow your brain with a regen rune. I wonder if he's going to try to get something really sweet going, but I don't think he's going to find anyone to catch. But they've basically realized one of the weaknesses of...
Wait, just XD out?
Yeah.
Again, every single kill at this stage is completely relevant. They don't have a Hand of God here. They don't have a mechanism here. And Vlad's, for what it's worth, is not going to be available for Owie or the Replicants either. So now they're going to look to push in on the mid in the tier 3, and there's only so much that'll stop them. The Ice Blast is actually on cooldown for 23 more seconds. Scandal has that full BKB, or 5-second BKB, and that full Aegis, and they are raring to go. He already popped out Flat Cannon, though. He wanted to actually dish out some incidental damage there and putting it on cooldown. That small time frame between those auto attacks actually initiating on in. We do see big damage going on into Universe. Can he get his cooldowns off? He is going to be having the pipe. No, he will fall in the end. Too many right clicks, and now they're going to go for the racks. It's just pretty much, I don't want to say good game, but they have an opportunity without the Darkseer up to clean this up 100%. Nice Ice Blast coming on in, hits onto the Queen of Pain, and will force her to fall back. So they are going to just take that and leave. As the split push down on bottom, there was the damage coming in from Owie's illusions. He was in the fight, but he had his illusions the entire time, self-propagating, pushing on through, and surviving down the bottom lane to put some damage into tier 3, but nothing to racks, and for that reason, it's still Empire's game 100%. And until the Aegis expires in 4 minutes, that is still going to be the case, so we'll see how it works out. What do you think, man?
God. Oh yeah, I think it's Empire's game to lose at this point. As long as they play safe, as long as they play back and allow Empire to, rather Scandal to keep getting items, and it's going to be too difficult because right now, especially with a racks down, and the fact is, you know, Chen isn't going to scale much better. He's already basically his peak in effectiveness. It's not like he's going to be able to go and pick up like an ult stick or anything to go and make that cooldown his ultimate 30 seconds. They've basically capped out. Even the Phantom Lancer isn't going to get that much more effective. Excuse me?
Satanic is what we're looking at here. So that is...
so I just don't think they can kill him. They just, you know, but Aoi would need to get like a BKB crit or like something even more absurd at this point to be able to just fight the gyrocopter. And I think that, you know, beyond that, the supports on I almost called Storm Spirit support. The ancillary cast on Empire is just a little bit more effective. They have a little bit more range of initiation, while the global presence of Dignitas is a little bit higher. They have the Hand of God, they have the Ice Blast, they have, you know, Darkseer running anywhere and Puck blinking anywhere. It's just not relevant when you're defending high ground.
Yeah. So look at this golden experience graph shift. Specifically, the gold graph is what I'm looking at, and that's 7,500, 8K gold advantage going down to a 7,500 disadvantage for Dignitas. It's gotta hurt. They were on top of the world at one stage in the game, and then down on that bottom lane, that big team fight where they got everything they needed to with that surprise Divine Rapier. Scandal to immediately turn the game around, and now, like you said, it's their game to lose. They're in this position here. Phantom Lancer Illusions will probably be able to just right-click down the Tier 3 tower, but meanwhile, we do see a lot of damage going on up on the top lane as well. So it looks like with the fact that Blow Your Brain isn't here, he's going to have to be recalled in because a fight has broken out. They take the tower, but Scandal dropping low already. The Ice Blast to come on through. Big vacuum, big wall. Scandal so low, he drops for the first time. Aegis Immortal in the ground. If they kill him once more, this is going to be it for Empire. This is so clutch. But for now, they just waste the Aegis, and they stay within their base. They're very conservative about that. And that's all well and good, but without the Wall of Replica, they are going to have a tough time even holding off against a single gyrocopter lineup here.
Yeah, and like another irritating thing is when you're playing against a Keeper of the Light, that just means that your enemies can stand on there as long as they want to. They're going to have basically, you know, a free mana, and they're going to have just a ton of survivability on top of that with the Undying Soul Rip, as it were. So they just, it's just very difficult for them to do anything. Aui's, you know, he's playing it out okay. Like, you know, his illusions are constantly like split pushing and just providing pressure, but it's just not enough. And you know, at any time, if the illusions go too far in, they can just be one TP and then immediately recall back, and it seems like
Jumping
there's
on
a
in,
BKB.
Queen
Vygas going really
BKB
deep.
pops up the side from Darkseer. He doesn't have much. He is actually going to be initiated on fully by Blow Your Brain, but they're just focusing on the racks. They want to take these down and walk away from this, and Ice Blast is going to kind of hold them in for the moment. It looks like there's going to be a drop of Silent pretty quickly, but Sonic Wave just tried to deter them. There is the Hand of God. Silent going to drop down, most definitely. Now, Storm Spirit trying to bring down the puck, but Fog is able to blink on out, I'm sure of it. He just has so much escape, but the racks have fallen. He can only do so much. So he's back healing, and from there, they just want to pick up 1 or 2 more heroes, but it looks like they won't get the opportunity to go for that exchange. Despite the penitence, they can't really go all the way in to finish off somebody, and unfortunately for them, that means the Scandal will just TP on away, and he does have, again, buyback, but he's going to be mostly focusing on his current item pool. He never wants to lose that Divine. And what do you think is a final item to make sure that that's, other than buying another BKB, what do you think he needs to do?
I think he should just buy, like, wait for another Aegis. It's in about 4 minutes. There's nothing that Dignitas can do anyway.
Fair enough.
It's, if they try to fight him at the, Ancient, like, at the Roshan, I don't think they're going to be able to win that fight either. So they're just a little bit too far ahead. It's not like Phantom Lands are getting a Basher.
That's
okay, that is, like, 100% the right item, though.
Yeah,
like,
if he can build that into an Abyssal, 100%.
Like,
that can be ridiculous. He actually picked up a tally of evasion just to try to dodge things out, but remember, you can't dodge the flat cannon incidental damage. You can only dodge the actual right clicks that are coming your direction. So it helps here and there, but it might have just been him hoping to go for that standard core butterfly and then be like, screw it, we have to get this guy disabled or we're going to get rocked. And we do see that Way Too Sexy is going to disconnect out for a moment, but man, I can't say that it was the most interesting beginning of the game, but it has transitioned into something really, really incredible with this high tense moment. This is, of course, Game 3, so it's going to decide this match, and from here, it's just ridiculous how it's really on whether Scandal lives or dies, 100%, but with 2 sets of racks down, constantly pushing in, Dignitas doesn't have the position where they can actually initiate. Even Smoke Ginks is generally unreasonable unless they time it perfectly with the waves being pushed out, so it's going to be difficult to catch Scandal off guard, and if they can't, then he is most certainly just going to be able to right-click on down, and despite Phantom Lancer being considered one of the most scalable carries into the late game, it's not going to be enough compared to how much Scandal can put out in just that huge amount of AoE. So, again, Abyssal is the item to get for PL, possibly even more so than buyback. Like, he's already bought out for the Basher itself. So, I really think that they just want to go their own version of all-in, which is no buybacks. Gyrocopter has buyback, Storm has buyback, Dignitas says screw it, we need some kind of items. Ancient Apparition, 700 away from that Halberd. Puck, no idea if he's going to be able to go. I guess he's going for Scythe. He has that open orb. He needs more disables, and that's a perfect item in that case, but they need to make sure that this works out for them.
I think, like, one of the big problems here from the Puck deciding to go for that Shivas instead of that earlier Hex, I think, is costing him a lot. It's a lot more AoE nuke damage, but man, it just doesn't help you go and pick off these heroes like the Storm Spirit. And wow, Storm Spirit also, by the way, going for a very delayed Bloodstone. I don't think it's necessarily I think that's, a 6-stack Bloodstone, it's enough to be efficient, but it's really strange. You don't normally see that people go for that after about 25 minutes. Anyway, back to the point. They needed more single target lockdown from the Puck, and that Hex I think would have been a bit more efficient than the Shivas, because it's not like Shivas is going to do too much, because this Gyrocopter is just going to be able to BKB when he sees you bursting in, and then he's going to lifesteal away any damage that you do in fact do. Yeah,
this is really, really difficult for them. They're going to try to pull a rabbit out of the hat on this one, and we've seen some great initiation from Universe. The Wall of Replica, the Vacuum on top of an Ice Blast can do so much here, but they're still the BKBs out on 3 different heroes. They're only 5 or 6 seconds. They're not that substantial as far as avoiding disables, but just avoiding some of that initial burst, it definitely can still work in their favor, and that means also that they can time it with Puck's Dream Coil to not have to worry about that factor, same with the Shivas. So from there, Empire is in a great position to avoid their initiation and just let Scandal do his thing, but again, we're still talking about all these different options, and this Basher, although of course won't propagate to the illusions, is very, very powerful in the he's attacking almost twice per second, 0.55 seconds per attack, and he can hit really, really quickly to try to get this Disable proc off, 25%. It's pretty reliable at this kind of attack speed, and we'll see how it plays out straight up, 100%, because this is what it comes down to. And it looks like they're actually going right back and forth right off the bat. A little bit of flat cannon here. They find Scandal in this position. He doesn't have that Aegis, remember. Just a Satanic pops out the BKB. The Sheep is up on Fog, trying to burn him down as well as Universe. They're kind of severing their focus here, and instead nobody's dropping just yet. Puck drops down to 3rd life, but there is a big Ice Blast, big vacuum, big wall replica. Blinding Light is all on Dignitas, so they can't do the damage they need to. Scandal still right-clicking away. Godlike triple kill, just gets that second flat cannon up and turns it against them. So much damage coming on out, and they just couldn't right-click. Evasion, Blinding Light, they can't do anything to this guy, and he's able just to dominate them. Again, no buybacks up. They've been going all in, and that might be it. That might be the nail in the coffin. Buyback just came out for Darkseer, and now they're going to
wall up. I don't think they're just going to be able to do anything. I believe this will, in fact, be GG.
Okay, well, we'll see. Obviously, I'm definitely there with you, but if Dignitas can do something, it will be one of the most amazing things I've seen, that's for sure. But backing them back on in, they go for a big initiation. They might be able to pick off Queen of Pain at least, but she drops down to 200, pops off her Shivas, and will survive. Now, Aoi just trying to poke them out of the base, trying to get this Ancient Apparition up. The Ice Blast is what they need to be able to actually make anything happen here. They have the fortification. They're going to try to use it here to hold the line, but instead, the Universe gets initiated on by the Queen of Pain, and the Storm Spirit doing too much damage. He's going to drop. Aoi out of mana, trying to run in there and do something, but the tower drops quickly, and so does he. Ice Blast finally coming through. Queen of Pain dodges it, though, and it hits on very little, actually. Oh my gosh, damage from Sonic Wave. Getting dodged out as well. Fogged on low life, gets finished off. Scandal just cleaning things up, and now the Rex should be his. Low life, no Satanic available, but Aoi's not ready to fight it just yet. Goes in, trying to dish out the damage. The melee Rex falls, but Blinding Light keeps Aoi off, and it's going to be an Ultra Kill in the end for Scandal. Good game, well played comes out. They got him so low, but they just couldn't finish it. And I gotta say, the unsung hero in that one was Silent with perfect blinding lights left and right. That's a huge disable. 4 seconds of 80% mischance. They couldn't touch this guy, and he was able to clean it up. Awesome game, and awesome way to end the series with Empire taking game 3, 2-1. So that was just really awesome, and well played to both teams.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really well played. You know, great tactical risk coming out from Empire. And just, you know, it showcases the power that you can have on that gyrocopter, especially in conjunction with that Keeper of the Light. Keeper of the Light acting in a very defensive capacity that game, you know. Just the Blinding Light preventing anyone from really being able to hit that gyrocopter with that fast BKB without any magical damage going through, without any physical damage going through. That was a very safe rapier. And, you know, it just was enough to go and completely turn the tides of that game. And I believe that was, what was it, like a 15,000 gold swing in about, 5 minutes? It was insane.
Maybe not 5, but very rapidly. And it was completely changed the pace of the game with one single item. It's amazing what that can do. It's such a risk. It's such a play that can be completely counteracted with one single slip-up. But Scandal stayed in the right position. He didn't throw it away, and he was able to come out on top and carry his team to victory, quite literally, in that situation. So that was amazing. That was really fun game to cast, and in the end, that means that Empire is going to take the win. So I'm going to be looking into something I didn't mention yet, but we do something called a feature called Ask the Pros. It's a post-game interview with one of the players, and I'm going to try to get one of the Empire guys in here in just a minute, guys. So if you guys want to head over to twitch.tv/the Premier League, those that are in Dota TV anyways, and jump over to that. We'll try to get him on in just a few minutes, but that was an awesome game, and I'm just glad that you guys all had the awesome chance to experience it with us. So you all have a good evening, and thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Yep, cheers guys, a lot of fun to cast.